Hey, today we're joined by Matt Landon, certified financial planner and CEO of Semmax, and we're talking about what you should be doing after retirement. And there's so many things, right?
There are quite a few.
Okay, but let's kind of narrow it down. So one of the questions that people ask often is, should people stop converting their Roth IRAs once they retire?
Yeah, I actually had someone ask me about this the other day, and they said, well, I can't do Roth conversions because I'm retired. And I was like, well, there's a difference between contributions and conversions. Contributions, that's adding money into that 401k plan or into that Roth or that IRA, and that you do have to have earned income. You got to have a W-2, a 1099, but you can convert funds in retirement while you're working. The biggest question is less about your employment status and more of what kind of tax bracket are you in? What is the cost that it's going to be if you were to do a Roth conversion? Does it make financial sense?
Okay, and maybe some people are home actually asking this, converting it into what?
Yeah, so what it is, when you think about a Roth IRA or a traditional IRA, this is just the way the IRS categorizes the money. Is this money that you have already paid taxes on and it's growing tax-free? You get to keep it, your family gets it, whatever it makes, no problem. Or is it money that when you take it out or when your loved ones take it out, do you have to pay income taxes on it? That's really all it means. So what you're doing is you're saying, let's take it out of that taxable bucket and go ahead and move it in to that tax-free bucket.
Okay, so if retirement can actually be one of the better kind of places, windows, right?
It can be.
Why do so many people kind of assume the opposite?
I think in part because there's so many decisions to make. When you're working, it's pretty straightforward. You have a paycheck coming in, you have expenses going out, and you're putting money aside. When you step into retirement, there's so many more levers that can be pulled. There's when do I take my Social Security? Which account do I pull from? You have a lot more choice over how your tax bracket is ultimately going to shape up, how your tax return is going to look by the end of the year. And so I think the biggest thing that people find is just overwhelming is so many choices to make. And so that's where I think sitting down and having a tax plan put together and not doing it in a vacuum, but thinking about it in connection with your investments, with your Social Security, with your pensions, with everything else that you have, and your estate planning. You know, put it all together and walk through it with someone, it tends to go better.
All right, we got about 40 seconds or so. How does someone actually know when it's time to stop the Roth conversions?
Yeah, so there's a couple key things you want to keep in mind. One of them is how much income do we have? Has anything changed from the Washington and that side of things? Because right now we're in a fairly favorable interest rate environment. That could change quite a bit. And so that's part of it. The other thing would be, what are you trying to get out of this? And then don't forget about IRMA. Now that has to do with your Medicare premiums, and if your income is too high, all of a sudden you get this nasty surprise when your Social Security check gets a little smaller because you hit IRMA.
Right.
Well, there's different levels to this, and you don't notice it right away because it's based off of 2 years prior. So you might do Roth conversions and then find out, oh, I shouldn't have done that.
All right, that's probably another conversation for another day. Hey, Matt Landon, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to post this entire conversation on our website under the tab To Finance Your Future.